At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Northwest Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 479-203-5880, or visit our website at directservicenwa.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, welcome everybody. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo. Hope you guys. Hey, I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. For those of you who did not watch Tuss Talk with Ty just a little bit ago, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. If I may be so bold, I think my Christmas was absolutely spectacular. Dudley, alongside me today, we're going to do KU versus Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. But first off, how was your Christmas, sir?
The Christmas was good now, except for that one fact that the pipes burst. And so we've been without running water since Saturday, but we've made do. I grew up in the country. We can get that done, so. But looking forward to the rates going back to normal for plumbers tomorrow, having one come out and get it taken care of. So excited about that. Other than that, it was kind of like you're expecting your bonus and you get Jelly of the Month club, but it works out in the end. So.
Well, I hate to hear that about your pipes. We've not had any issues. I'm not gonna lie. When it got down to like negative whatever it was, 6. I was thinking, oh boy, we're either going to lose power or the pipes are going to bust or something. It got so dadgum cold. You just do when you get that kind of bad weather. It's like something's going to go wrong. Car doesn't start.
They always give you the turn on the sink, let it drip a little bit. Didn't stop it.
Turns out that's not true. Didn't work.
It doesn't appear so.
Trying to get us all retweeted and everything on the socials. If you guys are if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, like the stream, go to hogville.net for all the latest and greatest from the greatest. Dudley Dawson, Otis Kirk will have you covered on this Liberty Bowl and all things Razorbacks. Just a heads up for anyone who is unaware, and that's going to be like maybe 2 of you, the post-game show will be my final bit of content that I make for Hogville, at least for the foreseeable future. I will be going back full-time to Tuss Talk, but Dudley, it honestly has been a blast working alongside you and Otis Kirk.
I appreciate it. We've enjoyed working with you too, and I think we'll do it again down the road, I'm sure. So,
oh yeah,
you're a free agent. You got to negotiate contracts, got to get stuff done, and then we'll come at you like Cardinals need to come after a frontline pitcher.
Oh yeah, or like they did with the newest addition at catcher,
Wilson, yes,
yeah.
I might have a Wilson Contreras caricature T-shirt. Say that 3 times fast.
You'll have to send me a picture if you.
It's on the way still. It didn't make it by Christmas.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm ready for baseball too, man. It's that time of year. Like I'm just ready. The new year rolls over. Baseball's not that far away. Both college and pro. College will be here a little quicker. All right, Arkansas taking on KU in this Liberty Bowl. There's a lot of different things we could cover here. I'll be honest. Someone asked me, like, really, is this a coin flip game for you, Ty? Because I always refer to the tightest games for me are always coin flips. It's like I'll just grab a coin and flip it. Whoever it heads as Arkansas tells is the opponent. This is definitely for me a coin flipper, and mostly because, as we all are very well aware of, Arkansas is missing several key pieces in this matchup.
And Kansas is very excited to play. First bowl game in 14 years. They had a real good recruiting class last Wednesday, including flipping a tight end Jaden Ham from Eudora, Kansas, whose home, I understand, is 17 miles from the University of Kansas Stadium. So, can't really get on him too much, although I know Arkansas would love to, to have had him in the mix. Arkansas still comes, with the second best recorded recruiting class since 2009. And that seems nuts when you look at it because, you think more about the ones that they lost there late. But still, the number 2 recruiting class, according to Rivals, in 24/7, ESPN, I think it's hard to get really, to not be upset at those guys leaving. But when you look at it overall, decent class and numerically one of the better they've had here since Houston Nutt was coaching, of all people.
Yeah, he Sam found some real diamonds. I mean,
and the one thing is that the transfers don't count in those rankings. I don't understand why that nobody's figured it out yet. They have transfer rankings on their own, but not they don't include them in the regular thing. But I think they've done well in the transfer portal. They've got to get big in January. Got another 10 to 12 spots. They've got a lot of people identified. They're going to have a lot of people in here that January 4th through 6th weekend. Apparently, that could have the future of the program and what next year looks like. That could be the tipping point there, one way or the other.
Yeah, and they're off to what I think is a pretty good start to the 2024 class. I know that's going to be it's going to be all hands on deck, and you kind of feel like, I'll be real honest with you, Dudley. I think this bowl game has actually got a lot of I don't know. It feels like it's got a little extra meaning to it, even though it's just the Liberty Bowl. Not just because of maybe it'll have a positive impact on recruiting, as you mentioned, talking about some of the recruits, but like he's going to need a pretty solid recruiting class, and I think they're going to need to win this bowl game to create a little bit more hype and excitement moving forward into the 2023 season. I feel like this is a pretty important bowl for those reasons. I talked about that on Tuss Talk on last week. I feel like this is a game that probably should have a little bit more meaning. You mentioned KU. This is their first game since 2008, or bowl game since 2008. That's when Mangino was there, wasn't it?
Yes, and it's twofold. Excuse me, it's twofold. I think in that number one, it's a winning or losing season. It's the difference in that. If you succeed, that is no way. You look in the dictionary. You lose more than you win. That's a losing season. You win more. I mean, you win this game. You're 7-6, still not where you wanted to be, but that's a winning season.
Yeah.
So it's very simple on that. And then there's just the perception of things. You give your fans a little bit more hope. If they do win, it's going to be, I think, because of the contributions of the young linebackers, the young wide receivers, some people in the secondary. A couple of tight ends that are still left around. So that will at least, I think, would give people hope. But we want to be very clear: 6-6 is not what this program needs to be. They were maybe 9 points away from a couple more wins, but they were also 5 points away from a couple more losses. So
yeah,
the difference is they won the close games last year and lost them this year. The biggest recruit they got, without a doubt, coming back is KJ Jefferson, and they finally, I believe, have some reliable backups is the word I'm going to use in terms of being able to have guys there next year where if KJ goes down. I feel like Jacoby Criswell and maybe to an extent Malachi Singleton will be able to be competent quarterbacks. I know that the young man is still out there floating, may end up at UNLV, and Malik Hornsby. Doesn't sound like he's going to be at Nebraska now. But I just think they'll be in better shape at the quarterback room. And you also should get Cade Renfro back healthy. And yes, he's a walk-on, but he also was offered, he also was a scholarship guy at Ole Miss, came here, looks good in practice, got hurt a couple of times now. So, but I do think that suddenly you've got a room that you can at least feel good about.
Yeah, I agree with that. Criswell definitely adds a little bit of he adds a little extra spice, I think, in the quarterback room, because this is a guy, you don't talk about him lining up at wide receiver like they did with Hornsby. You don't talk about just, he's got the speed and this and that. We know that Criswell was a competent quarterback out of our own backyard, out of Arkansas. And I think, too, the fact that North Carolina was all over him. It turns out he loses the starting job to two almost once-in-a-lifetime quarterbacks that North Carolina's ever had on campus. Like, it's just kind of bad luck. A lot of people – that's what I get thrown back at me when I talk about Criswell. Yeah, but he got beat out by freshmen. Okay, you got to understand the situation. These aren't just freshmen. It's a redshirt freshman quarterback at North Carolina, if I remember right.
Sam Howell. Then May, yes, Drake May.
Yeah, and then May was a redshirt freshman. And these are two guys that just operated the offense at a really high level. And Criswell, unfortunately, had to take the back seat.
Well, here's one thing I want to point out. I believe I was the only Arkansas writer to go to the Elite 11 camp that they had at the Star in Frisco. And that was Chandler Morris. Hudson Card was there. You also had, Jacoby Criswell, a lot of others. Jalen Hurts, got to have a pretty good conversation. Got to know him pretty well. He was one of the counselors there.
Oh, that's cool.
And like a lot of people, I didn't take it out on Chandler Morris. He had nothing to do with, other than being born, nothing to do with his dad deciding to put more into recruiting him than he did Jacoby Criswell. It just didn't work out. Coach Pittman came in, tried to get it done at the end. It would have been great if they had both of them been here. He'd have been the backup, I think, much quicker, obviously, than this year. But Chandler Morris was a decent quarterback, and I went to see him play several times when he was in high school and at the Elite 11 camp. That being said, I think that Jacoby Criswell was very good in high school. He was very good at that Elite 11 camp. I don't know enough other than from the looking in the outside, and you just talked about the two quarterbacks that had taken. All I know, great kid. I believe he has a lot of skill. I feel more confident in him than I do Malik Hornsby.
Yeah, and there was something about when Sam Pittman talked about receiver for Hornsby, it just threw up a lot of red flags for me. Like, so what's really going on at QB2? Never felt really – it didn't feel sound like it does the way it looks right now, the way the depth chart may end up looking like, and it probably will going into 23. You feel a little bit like they've got it solved. QB2 feels – solved almost.
Let's just be honest. When they're moving you to another spot, you're not good enough at the one you previously.
That threw up all kinds of red flags. I caught some pushback on that on the other show. I caught some pushback, and I was like, look, there's some. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. Maybe receiver is his spot, but
that being said, I hope he goes and has a great career.
Oh yeah,
it just wasn't working here, and he was getting more love than he deserved to be from what he was doing in practice these last couple of years, what he was doing in terms of responsibility. He was getting more love simply because he was the backup quarterback, and the current quarterback would actually make mistakes. He threw 4 interceptions, 1 year, and anytime that the starting quarterback didn't do well, it was suddenly the second quarterback is better because he just is. There was no rhyme or reason, just he is.
Well, speaking of quarterback and talking about the quarterback room, how do you think, KJ, going back to this bowl game, I feel like they ought to have a little bit of success on the ground at least against KU, and I don't know that their secondary is all that special either. Their defense ranked dead last in several categories. Feel like this is going to be a high scoring game, but how do you feel about KJ? Would you put money on him rushing for 100 yards, or is this going to be?
Yes, I would. Yeah, because if he gets hurt now, he's got a long way to get healed. But yes, I think he is going to come in and have a great game. It's not lost on anybody the fact he's playing really close to Sardis, Mississippi. He will have a ton of people in the stands. Now, while Arkansas's fan base hasn't really shown out in terms of buying the number of tickets that they were allotted, I do think he'll have plenty of people there. I do think he'll want to shine just in the bowl. This is his jumping off part for 2023, just like it is for a lot of these young players. So, yeah, I think he's going to have a great game, and I think he will try to run over people. And the one thing you can't spit shine it. One of these teams lost 6 or 7. The other one lost 5. Lost 3 of their last 9, or won 3 of their last 9. So It's not a fantastic matchup. There are people missing on both teams, linebacker especially, tight end, a wide receiver. So I do think I do agree with you. It's going to be a high-scoring thing, but I'm not sure it's going to be because the offense is clicking on all cylinders. It's going to be because the defense in both terms, because it doesn't look like Kenny Logan's going to play. He's walking around with a boot. He's their great safety. He's walking around in a boot when he got off the plane last night, at Memphis. It also doesn't look like Daniel Henshaw, who's a running back that was very productive for them before October 1st when he got hurt. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to play. So they've only had a few opt-outs, not really anybody that matters, but they do have a couple of injuries that would have been, key guys in this game that it doesn't look like it's going to happen for.
I know they lost linebacker Eric Gilliard. He went to Connecticut. I don't know a whole lot about other than that. That's really their only loss in terms of the portal. That would be at least substantial, I guess, for them. Arkansas is going to be without Jaden Hazelwood, Katron Jackson, Ricky Stromberg, Trey Knox. And on defense, you're without Drew Sanders, Bumper Pool. I'm sorry, I don't know why I have. Yeah, Drew Sanders, who's clearly a All-American potential first-round pick. You understand him. Bumper Pool, who's had surgery. He's out. And then Miles Slusher, who was kind of on and off for Arkansas this year. So really, all in all, Arkansas is missing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so pieces.
Yeah, Slusher now with the go into the Louisville Cardinals. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's going to Louisville. Wish him the best. I hate that it didn't work out here for him. I was really excited about him.
Yeah, I've been very clear. Time, place, and the space you're in. That was not a good decision by him. I don't really want to comment on all the film because I've seen snippets. I hadn't seen all of it, but I know from my own experience that being down there after 2:00 on Dixon Street is not the best thing for you.
Yeah, it's not. I was fortunate up and down Dixon Street quite a bit. Hey, listen, I remember when I worked at Taco Bell on the old 6th Street, right there in front of what was Electric Cowboy. Our managers were so fearful of Dixon Street. When we had an hour or two just where it was slow, our managers would send us to Dixon Street to drive up and down to see how bad it was in terms of just how nuts Dixon Street was, and then have us report back and tell them, oh, no, we're going to get killed because Dixon Street's wild or whatever.
We should probably go home.
Yeah. Well, and, we didn't have that choice. You just had to prep, and there's a lot of prep that used to be involved. For anyone who's ever worked fast food, you know what I'm talking about. But I worked at that Taco Bell for a while. A lot of crazy stuff that included former Razorbacks, actually. A lot of crazy things happening.
In the drive-thru and all that.
Say what?
They were falling asleep in the drive-thru and all that.
One certain linebacker certainly did fall asleep in the drive-thru.
Well, as a butcher, he did.
Oh my gosh. There's a fight. Some offensive linemen got into a fight. It was crazy. I miss that old. It's now Martin Luther King Street and it's now a new modernized Taco Bell. But I go there just for the Baja Blast because that is the premier beverage amongst fast food restaurants. Going back to this game, again, it's a coin flip. I'm leaning heavily. I'm gonna just have to come out and say it. I'm leaning pretty heavily to KU. They got the quarterback back, who I think is going to be as healthy as he's been. I know Arkansas is supposed to run all over these guys. Their run defense was bad. I mean, it was atrocious. They ranked 114th in run defense. But how often has Arkansas gone up against someone whose run defense was a little shoddy or had some issues here and there on defense? And Arkansas, they're able to rack up rushing yards or total offense. They still found a way to lose games. I'm not saying I'm picking KU, but I'm leaning that way. Even with KJ and Rocket back, I just think, Dudley, there's so many missing pieces here.
Well, I'll say I'm picking them. Because in any of these bowls you can watch over the course of the last week or two, every team that is excited to be there has come out and played well. That mean they've won the games, but they've played well. And in talking to Kansas players and talking to Kansas coaches in the build up to this, and Kansas has been really good about making those guys available. DJ Withers from Pulaski Robinson, Joe T. Robinson being one of the guys that I talked to latest. They are very excited about it, and I just think that's a big thing. Now, go out and prove me wrong. I think there's going to be a lot of hungry players, a lot of hungry young players that are playing for Arkansas. Man, I always lean to that the excitement to play, and I just think that's weighing with Kansas right now. Now, if Arkansas had won 6 of its last 9 instead of lost 6 of its last 9, maybe I'd go a different way. And I do have to, as I said, acknowledge that Kansas has lost 6 out of the last 7 after going 5-0. But that's what I'm going to lean to. If I had to bet the house on it, I would bet Kansas. If I was betting somebody else's house, I might bet Arkansas.
Well, the guy that went 5-0 at quarterback is back. He's healthy now. I know you told me before we went live he did actually play in their final 2 games. Mm-hmm. He threw 10 balls in the last game where he only completed 5. But here's what I'll say. All right, I'm doing really good in my bowl pick'ems this year because I actually did the homework, and I'll tell you the trend that's working out for me. Again, I'm 14-3. I started out, I think it was 13-1. The trend for me is coaching changes. Who's been hit with coaching changes? And the other thing is who's been hit the hardest with opt-outs. Those are my 2 things that I'm looking at that have worked out for me. I'm off to a 14-3 start. I think I picked SMU. No, I picked BYU. Whoever lost that game.
BYU won.
So I picked SMU.
SMU lost going for 2 at the end.
That's right. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Which I thought was the right one. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. And I watched a little bit of that game. And then I picked Mizzou. Wake Forest was kind of to me, it was just an interesting pick. I kind of thought Mizzou ended the year on a good note for them. Drinkowitz got to feel like they're kind of turning the corner a little bit, maybe for Mizzou anyways, by their terms. And then I also picked San Diego State. Those are my 3 losses, but all the other picks, I'm doing a little bit more homework. I'm going to hit a wall. I'm sitting here. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm sitting here talking positively about how well I'm doing in these bowl pick'ems. I'm probably going to hit a damn wall. But the best.
That was a flex. That's a flex.
It's a flex. Yeah, a little bit. But but again, the point I'm making is those are the things, these teams that are heavily impacted with the transfer, that's what I'm picking against. If you've been hit hard in the portal, harder than the other opponent, then I'm going to pick the team that's been less affected with the portal and with coaching changes. And that's why
I'm sorry.
I was going to say that's why I'm leaning really heavily. It's hard to make up a Drew Sanders. It's hard to make up a bumper pull of Jaden Hazelwood when you talk about how ineffective the rest of the receivers really were behind Matt Landers and Hazelwood. The good news is Landers is playing. I was going to talk to you about that too. Landers is playing in this game. We'll see if he comes back. I think he's eligible for another year. So we'll see if he comes back. But what do you think of the youth? Like we talked about Christopher Pupal. You mentioned the linebackers, Jordan Crook. They're gonna play clearly.
Manny Powell's gonna play.
Manny Powell, Fayetteville Bulldog. Woodard will probably get in on some action. The walk-on.
Aiden Henley has been mentioned as somebody who's going to get some snaps as well by the coaches.
Who do you see having the bigger impact? Do you think these receivers, Centenia, Samuel Bakke, do you see them having a pretty big impact against that atrocious KU defense?
I would think so, because you're without Trey Knox, you're without, as you mentioned, Jaden Hazelwood. So I think the wide receivers are going to be more noticed. But I think in terms of actual productivity, when we look inside the game, I think Pupal is going to have the amount of tackles that Bumper and Sanders have had, for the most part this year. He's got more action than anybody else did at the linebacker, and we've seen some great plays for him. But I am anxious to see what Manny has, Jordan Crook. I'm anxious to see what they have. Jackson Woodard, I think, could have a good ball game. He's undervalued, I think, by a lot of fans, just because he was a walk-on, to come up here. But I think he's going to be an excellent player for them in this particular setting for sure, because he's going to get plenty of snaps. Now, I wouldn't be stunned at all if Isaiah Satega has a huge game, because we saw him run one jet sweep We know he can get down the field. I think they're going to take some shots with him, and you've got to see what you've got in games, not just in practice. That's the good thing about this bowl is giving a lot of these kids the opportunity. Not only do they have these bowl practices, but they're going to get actual line of fire type things against a Division I opponent, and we can see that. I think that what they have coming. I just see a question pop there. Jalen Lewis will definitely play, but no mention of Anthony Brown. Normally he would have if he, hadn't been, in trouble there. We'll see what coach has to say. They're having a press conference at 3:00, and I think we'll know more about that. What will be going on.
Yeah, a lot of the product that's on the field will not resemble. Well, I shouldn't say product. The product will probably resemble, but the personnel on the field will not resemble what we saw in 2022.
And you can take 70 people on the road to games. Obviously, you can have everybody at home. There's only 54 eligible prospects to play for Arkansas in this game. And 3 or 4 of them, are nursing injuries. So if this was the COVID year, they might not have even played.
That's true. That's actually a really good point.
53. So
that's a good point. They're busted up. I full strength. Even with their guy back at quarterback, I'd probably take Arkansas. I mean, I really would. I mean, it's just I think there's too much. I think they have the talent edge over KU there.
Here's another thing I want to throw out there. They're obviously Kansas started the season 5-0. They had won 2 games last year, 6 overall this year. They were the leaders in number of people transferring out of the portal in the NCAA Power 5 last year. They had more people leave the team. Notice I didn't say they decided to transfer elsewhere. They had more people leave the team. Lance Leopold came in there and did the same thing that Coach Pittman did after his first year here, was basically the people who were okay with losing were asked to go lose somewhere else. And that helped them with the turnaround because, it was very easy to see the people over there. They were looking for ways that the game was going to happen, that they were going to lose. It wasn't bothering them too much. They eradicated a bunch of those guys and they moved on to different places. But I think that's one thing that's, similar about these teams is these coaches came in, started changing the culture. And I kind of hate to use that phrase, but basically what it means is they got people out of there that didn't need to be here.
Yeah. And maybe that's what's happening in Arkansas right now. I got a lot of guys in the portal. Where'd it go? Where's the comment? Someone asked about Quincy McAdoo. There it is. Quincy McAdoo, do y'all think he stays at corner in the offseason going into spring and next season? That's a good question because the option is on the table for him to go back to wide receiver. At least that was what Sam Pittman told us not long ago.
We had him at the Hog Trough, the players show that I do at the Grove Comedy Club in Louisville. And he made it clear that he would like to, continue to see time at cornerback. He also likes being a wide receiver. I wouldn't be stunned if he caught a pass and intercepted one in this game, because I think we'll see him playing on both sides of the ball. But I do think, and I'm never holding myself out to be that great a talent evaluator, but I do think he's highly capable of being a significant impact guy on whatever side he lands at for sure. Now, I think we all can agree that the defensive secondary needs him.
Yeah.
Now, they're bringing some wide receivers in. Andrew Armstrong, some others. I think we'll see some more added, and he certainly could make a thing over there as well. But there were a lot of people who in high school were telling me he was a better defensive player than he was offensive player.
Mm-hmm. And he had offers to play.
Including his head coach, yeah. And so, that's what these guys get paid a lot for, to evaluate, and we'll see, what it's like during the offseason. He's had the full bowl workouts. He'll have the opportunity of spring practice. So they're going to be able, And I think it may depend on these 10 to 12 guys they get during the January evaluation and visit thing as to where he lands. Do they have enough at wide receiver? Do they have enough at cornerback? How does Jalen Lewis play? Is Anthony Brown, will he still be on the team? I think there's a lot of questions to be asked, but it's good to have somebody that can fill both spots and be kind of a utility infielder as you have in baseball.
It's kind of crazy to think about. That's the most stable position going into this bowl game. I mean, when you think about it, you've lost Drew Sanders, who's basically an edge rusher, great linebacker, great edge rusher. But in the secondary, you got Hudson Clark back, middle safety, Quincy McAdoo, Dwight McLaughlin. I mean, the only guy you've lost is they haven't lost anybody. Am I crazy?
Kerry Johnson. He went to Boston College.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. So that's really about it. They seem to be stable. I'm not saying it's their best position, but based on the way the season ended for the secondary, I'd say they ended on a better note than where they were at, and that happened after they moved Quincy McAdoo over to corner.
And I'd be stunned if not two or three of those guys that are added as the 10 or 12 for the secondary and that are going to play right away. Obviously, Dwight McLaughlin is playing in the bowl. So, it looks good for him to come back. We'll see.
I know you don't. I know that Otis is definitely our recruiting guy, and I know you help with some of it as well. We had someone ask about a recruiting update. Where is it? Jalen Lewis. Well, did they delete it? They take their comment down? It was a good recruiting question. I saw it and I thought that'd be a good question. Well, anyways.
Lots of people coming in January 4th through 8th, I think, is when they're going to bring them in.
Oh, Tesla. Someone asked about Tesla. There it is. Boom. Traffic portal news, new offers. I really want Isaac Tesla. I don't know if you've watched much on him or not. I like him a lot.
Otis believes strongly that Arkansas is in great shape with him. That's not to say that definitely getting believes he's in great shape. He'll be here that weekend. They feel really good, or Otis feels really good about them landing him. So he may already have a story written up in the file ready to go just in case it does happen. So,
yeah, knowing him, he probably does. And then you talked about him briefly just a second ago, but you wrote an article about Withers, about this young man, DJ Withers, 6'4", 292 at KU. I'm going to share the story.
Who was 6'2", 220 when he left Joe T. Robinson. 6'2", 220, and now he's 6'4", 292.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they beefed him up. There's the article, and I posted it in live chat if you guys want to read that. Dudley's got that written up for you guys, published on Christmas Eve. Kansas redshirt freshman defensive end DJ Withers may not be home for Christmas, but he is a lot closer than normal. So he is an Arkansas native, and you guys need to go read that article. I don't want to spoil anything for you. But yeah, I haven't made my prediction yet, but I am leaning right now. I'm leaning towards KU. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Should be a good game. But then again, Hog fans travel well. Maybe that home crowd feel will be there, and that'll maybe help push them over the finish line. Find a way to win this game. But I just these opt-outs and these the transfers and the injuries and this and that. It's just it's built up. I do think again at full strength, I would take Arkansas. I know Jalen Daniels is back for them. He's going to be healthy, and he's going to be a problem. He's someone you guys need to keep an eye on. They've got a 1,000-yard rusher on their roster as well. I mean, they've got the pieces to be really successful. Their defense is really bad. And that's saying something for Big 12 football, Dudley. That's saying something. They were the worst defense in the Big 12.
In that story you mentioned, DJ Withers, whose real first name is Dildrick, he mentioned that one of the reasons he went to Kansas instead of Louisiana Lafayette, Tulane, a lot of other choices that he had was because of the Big 12 style of play. And at that point, he was a 220-pound defensive end. And he knew he would have the opportunity to get more sacks in the Big 12 because they throw the ball more and all that. So that was one of the reasons that he went there. But it never has been, at least here lately, a facet of the Big 12 that's honored enough, or that is given much credit is their defense. It's always the offense.
Yeah, that's their reputation.
They don't play as good a defense as they do in the SEC. So.
No, you got the athletes here. You got the first round and the 5 stars and 4 stars here. You've got the upper echelon of the talent. You got the coaches. But the Big 12, and I love that TCU's in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I love that. I want parity in college football. I'm sick and tired of Alabama, Georgia. I'm tired of that. I want parity. That's why I'm a big fan of expanding the playoffs. I want it to 16, if I want to be real honest. I think it'll help with opt-outs, and it'll make the bowl games better, make them funner. But the Big 12 was an interesting conference to cover this year. I shouldn't say cover, but to watch. Oklahoma State, who I thought was going to run the table, they kind of fell flat on their face. Kansas beat those guys. Kansas beat Oklahoma State. I mean, they have it in them to be a pretty solid team, to be pretty good. But they're as close to full strength as they've been all year, and that's going to be a very large hurdle for Arkansas to jump over. But then again, it could just be the Rocket and KJ show, and they just run KU out of the building. I mean, I don't know. But
no more tight end on the goal line, tight end to quarterback things, because that guy is transferred out. So I don't think Nathan Bax is going to come in and run the quarterback sneak there.
I know we got the depth chart out, but Nathan Bax, Henry going to play tight end. You kind of mentioned tight end earlier a little bit. I wonder if there's any shot we see Ty Washington.
Absolutely. They talked about that. They expect him to play significant snaps. They're going to get him ready. Obviously, he was the young man who played 4 games and then went to the coaches and saying, hey, I really would like to keep this red shirt, and could I not play anymore? And they agreed that was the thing they could do. And then here comes the NCAA with the rule saying, the bowl doesn't count anymore. If you want to play and make it a 5th game, that's cool. So he came back. They've really liked what he's done in practice from what I'm hearing, and I think he will see significant time, and then would not be surprised at all, depending on what else they get in the portal. Obviously, they're looking at a young man that they would like to have him being the guy there next year, even though you have Luke Haas and them coming in, because he will have been here,
Yeah, Ty Washington, by the way, early on in fall camp, was turning heads. I think a lot of us, I know Otis and I talked about it. He might find his way into the 2 deep if he kept practicing like he was. I don't know what really happened. He kind of faded through fall camp. I don't know if he got dinged up or maybe something Sam wasn't real. No one asked Sam about, so maybe there's something there. I don't know, but he was someone that was pretty exciting to watch early in fall camp. And
big kid, lined up at running back for his high school team. Has athleticism. His high school program's a tremendous program. Great coach. Excited to get to see him out. And that's the thing. Win or lose, I don't care really. I mean, that's for the fans, and if Arkansas wins, that's exciting for them. Maybe makes my job a little bit easier. But the thing I'm most excited about is seeing these young kids get extended snaps, being able to see more of them than what we got to see just in practice. I want to see them with bullets coming out, both sides of the ball. And I think we're going to know a lot. There certainly will be a lot more storylines coming out of the game than there is going into it in terms of positives, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I think they need them. I think Sam Pittman needs this win pretty bad. And like you said, 7-6 is a winning season. 6 and 7 is not. So if we want to be blunt,
break it down.
And they need all the positivity they can get. KU excited, first bowl game since 2008. So it'll be a fascinating game one way or another. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be worth if you get to go. Hopefully it's not too cold for you and you just have a blast there. And maybe you get to see the Razorbacks come away with a win and get their 7th win of the year. Busy day.
I'm almost as excited about that one as I am the game I'm going to see the following night when the Dallas Cowboys play the Tennessee Titans. And I'll be in Nashville watching that Christmas gift tickets from the son over there, who's a Tennessee Titans fan, by the way.
That was a good win by them beating the Philadelphia Eagles. I realized they didn't have Jalen Hurts, but that's
we didn't have Dak Prescott first of them.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's a good win. I'll give it to you guys. It's a great win. I caught a little bit of the game. I watched the Rams.
We are definitely headed toward Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady. It looks like, in that first round as a wild card team, unless Carolina takes them out next week, and then
Yeah. Well, the NFC's been wild this year. It's been wild.
Your team looked great yesterday.
Yeah, they did. Baker Mayfield looked the part. I wish he could look that way. I wish it would look that way last week. But
finished off Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah. Pretty good
You
game.
just couldn't keep. I mean, I know it's just 15 games of the season, but it just hadn't worked well at all. Whether it's Russell, let's ride Wilson, or Nathaniel Hackett. Somebody had to go, and Russell's not going to go anywhere. So Nathaniel Hackett was sacrificed. And after watching these last few games of theirs and really watching most of the season, it just wasn't working. And somebody new has to come in there. And I know they probably started today, if not before, and trying to talk to Sean Payton.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That'd be a hire for them. Holy cow. That'd be a good hire. That'd be a good hire for Denver to bring in Sean Payton. I hadn't even thought of that.
Nick Fangio is already, I think it's going to be his defense coordinator. He has history there too. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure Broncos fans their feelings weren't hurt too bad. I'm sure John Williams, his feelings weren't hurt too bad yesterday after the Broncos getting whooped and their head coach getting axed.
I got to admit, it was a lot funner watching it on Nickelodeon than it was on regular TV. I mean, if that was not a game for Nickelodeon, I don't know what was.
Yeah. I've yet to watch any game on Nickelodeon, or what do they do? The thing where they
slime. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Patrick the Starfish dude was trash talking on Russell Wilson.
Really?
And he threw the interception while Patrick was up there. So
I'm gonna have to go back, and I'm sure they post that somewhere on Twitter or YouTube. I'll have to go back and watch it. Well, hey, if you can win anywhere, why not win on Nickelodeon? I mean.
All right. The MVP, Nickelodeon valuable player. MVP.
Oh, yeah. The MVP. Yeah. That's great. That's good. Okay. You guys make sure you like, share, subscribe to Hogville. I may be leaving Hogville, but they're going to continue to churn out content. Stay tuned. They'll have you updated either on the Hogville boards or here. But I will be going back full time to Tuss Talk. But these were a lot of fun. Final show will be, for me anyways, will be the post-game show after the Liberty Bowl, where I'll have Otis Kirk and Dudley Dawson on. Looking forward to it.
And after that, I imagine we might bump into each other at the Hot So What's Your Choice?
Oh, I'm sure I will. They're a newest sponsor over on Tuss Talk, and I got
in there.
What's that?
Well, I threw that in there.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we had the co-founder of Black Apple. I did an on-site interview. That was pretty neat. That was pretty fun. Never done anything like that before. It was rough, but it was still a lot of fun, and I enjoy working with Nick.
Yeah, they've got a great bartender there. I mean, they've got a lot of great people that work there. But just a little shout out to Boston from me,
Philadelphia,
at the Odd Show. How about those Cowboys, Boston? He's a big Philadelphia fan.
He's from Philadelphia, right?
I don't know that for sure. All I know is he's the first time I ever met him, he introduced himself as Boston and said he was a LeBron fan, and that made no sense to me. So.
Yeah. Well, when they told me his name was Boston, I said, "Oh, all right, go Celtics." No. But yeah, I enjoy working with them. This is a lot of fun. Enjoy working with you guys here at Hogville as well. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. And yeah, to all you viewers and everyone who helped make this special, a lot of fun. I have enjoyed every minute of this. So I'll be back on Hogville on the postgame show again alongside Dudley Dawson and Otis Kirk. Until then, we'll see you guys around.